the blushes. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Yes, it is the much anticipated video that took a lot longer than I expected it to. This is a review on Rare Beauty, Selena Gomez's new beauty makeup line. I bought just about everything that she had on order, and it took a really long time to get here, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it gave me 2 or 3 days over the weekend after it arrived to really get my head around the collection. So not only are we going to be applying it and reviewing it and talking all about it the way that we typically would, but I have 2 days worth of like end of day clips in really detailed lighting, I would say, so that you can see 2 different ways that I wore it and how it looks really at the end of the day. So I'm gonna move you guys in. We're gonna get to putting this product on my face and chatting through honestly, like a lot more thoughts than I thought I was going to have on this line, so let's jump in. So I've really tried to stay away from other people's reviews as I've been waiting for my order to arrive, but that's actually been really hard, especially just because I see comments and stuff where people are like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, they're just effusive about it. And I'm like, okay, I want to know, why does everyone really seem to love this? I would say that the biggest, like most effusive review that I saw so far was from Kate the Great. You know, it was on her her Instagram stories, and it looked so beautiful on her skin, and it made me so excited. So anyway, we are actually going to start with the concealer, and then I'm going to go kind of reverse order with the foundation. This is just something that I kind of figured out on my own a little bit. So the 2 different ways that I ended up wearing this, the first one was like very typical makeup application. You know, just put on the foundation, put on the concealer, try and do the blush, blah, blah, blah. And I found that something that happens very quickly with all of these products is that you put too much on. You need a whisper of these products. And I also know that there are people who come to my channel who want to know objectively, like exactly how something works and performs and things like that. And then there are also like an equal contingent of people who just want to know whether I prefer it. You know, they kind of want to know through my lens whether it's makeup I enjoy wearing. So I'm going to try and cover both of those things today. But I will say, from the standpoint of my preferences, I ended up putting way too much on the first day. And it performed a little bit differently as a result. Now, it was like hot outside all days, you know, that I was trying it. And I found that the first day, it was a lot more movable in the warm weather because I feel like I just ended up with too much product on my face. But also I decided, I don't know why, I decided I would go with like the highlighter first. And I think that that's one of the things that kind of ended up mucking it up to begin with. I don't know, it was like I went to my husband and I said, what do you think about this makeup? Because he knows nothing about makeup, which makes his opinions actually kind of more valuable. They're very crystallized, you know? And he just looks at me for a second and he goes, it's kind of pale. And to me, I know he didn't mean pale because like you can see, this is, that concealer, yes, it's pale. By the way, I got the shade 110N. And in the foundation, I ended up with 130N. And you will see that they are not particularly pale on me. They are more just my skin tone. I think they're a pretty good match. But I think what he was trying to say was that it looked flat. And that is something that was my first big surprise about this whole collection, is it's so much more flat than I expected it to be. I'm not sure like what the finish that they actually claim it to be is, but I guess I had expectations set up in my head where I thought it was gonna be really dewy, and it just isn't. It's pretty high coverage, which surprised me. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more like the Exa Beauty foundation, where it had a lot of flexibility in terms of coverage, and it does to some extent, but I would say it tops out, I guess it bottoms out. You know, you can only apply so little. It doesn't ever become a skin tint. It would never be my only foundation, I guess. So yeah, I did end up getting the foundation, the concealer. I got 2 blushes, one in like a rosy tone, I don't know where it went, we'll find it, and also in this kind of coral shade that's called Joy. And then I also got the brow, 2 of the like cream lips, and 1 of the matte lips. Oh, and the highlighter that I just showed you guys. So yeah, I would say that a lot of this stuff is, I mean, compared to the prices that people feel are okay to charge at Sephora, they're priced pretty well. The actual objective finish on the skin is very pretty. Is it my thing? Not my first choice, just because it is so matte, but I do want to stick a clip in here showing you guys at the end of my day how wild this is, because it is transfer resistant. Like, I was able to just stamp my hands on my face and get absolutely no transfer, but you could still see the makeup on my face. And it makes, I mean, it's not friction proof. You know, if you're wearing a mask or something, it's still gonna give you those little grooves in your blush. But compared to the dewy foundations that I wear all the time, I mean, it was shocking in how it dried down and stayed put. So if that's appealing to you, absolutely. You know, as far as the wear time is concerned, I was very, very impressed with the wear time. So one of my first thoughts here, as I've just wiped my nose and wiped my makeup off my face, is that the concealer is kind of a mismatch for the foundation in terms of coverage. The foundation, you can't really get away from having at least medium coverage. Medium to buildable, can go full coverage pretty easily. And the concealer, I tried it alone, and yes, it's very, you know, brightening in the shade that I chose, but you can see, I mean, we're not getting like really intense full creamy coverage with the concealer, and you kind of can't. So I don't know, I found that to be really interesting, and that kind of seems to be a pattern throughout this whole line to me. I feel like they all follow, all the actual face products, you know, the complexion products and blushes and stuff, they all seem to follow a similar formula of powder finish. I actually ended up using a setting spray at the end of doing my makeup the first day without realizing that there was nothing to set because I hadn't powdered my face, but it felt like I had, because this does dry down to powder. But it's also really weird because it looks kind of funky for the first like hour that you wear it. And that was when I asked my husband what he thought. After a few hours, I feel like it settled in a way, like it wore in a way that looked a little bit more natural. It never really ended up looking like skin though. Okay, I'm going to do what I always do and contour and bronze with my Salt New York palette, and I'll just zoom through that so you guys can see it, but I'm not gonna like bore you with it. Okay, I feel like contour and bronzer are like extra essential to this particular makeup look just because I'm not used to wearing foundation that flattens me out this much. And I should say, I mean, I'm using the word flat a lot. Flat meaning like a paint finish. You know what I mean? It kind of absorbs light, and so it makes it so that like the contours of your face are harder to see, and it gives you a really blank canvas effect, which makes you kind of have to do more work to bring your features back out. All right, let's start on these blushes, shall we? These are the Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. Yet again, it's very easy to get too much of this on your face, and that's coming from someone who will fight to the death for your right to wear way too much blush. We'll just go for it here. I'll just let you see it with your eyes. See, as I'm spreading it out on the back of my hand, it's already dried down because it's very, very matte. So I've been having trouble kind of fighting against this formula, trying to put on the right amount without it drying down so fast that I can't move it around. And that's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's just something that you have to get used to because it behaves I don't really know how I like, I don't really know if I like that. Anyway, let's get the other cheek on. Again, this is the shade Grace. That was not again. I don't think I told you that yet. But you know how when you're putting blush on, cream blush especially, and as you put it on, you're just like, yeah. Like, oh, that's really like richening up this look and it's making it look so much more natural. There's nothing about this where I'm going, yeah, like in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh God, like I'm panicking a little bit, you know? And the interesting thing is that it does kind of lighten up as you wear it, like your face eats it a little bit. But, you know, just these really stark lines underneath my eyes. It's kind of hard for me to resolve. And there are makeup products that look great, and then there are makeup products that look great and are also a pleasure to interact with. And this is kind of a stressful formula to interact with, in my opinion. I find it a little bit stressful, especially as someone who just really loves to play in blush, and I really didn't put very much on. It was like kind of like probably a total of like 3 little dabs on the back of my hand with the doe foot. So yeah, it does come in a little doe foot situation like this, and I'm gonna wipe that off. I'm gonna put even less, like that much, and that's what we're gonna use to kind of watercolor onto my cheeks here. And this is the shade Joy. So the advantage I would say to this is that it does go matte, and that is for some people. And that's like, I mean, like I said, it's more resistant. It just looks ridiculous. It's more resistant to mask disruption and even just touch disruption than, you know, a lot of the dewy like cream blushes that I like to wear. But I look like I have a fever. And I'm just not putting that much product on. It's kind of really intense. So the best way that I have found to kind of solve for this, once you get it on, is to go back in with your complexion brush and just kind of go over it. Because I don't love that white socket underneath my eyes. I don't love how it just kind of takes over everything. But you can still make it work. Okay, let's talk about this here highlighter. I ended up going with the shade Mesmerize because I own so many just like pale champagne colors. I figured I would go with like the next deeper one, and it's kind of a pretty rose gold. And it actually works really nicely on my skin. I really, really like this product. It is incredibly easy to work with. And again, I'm just kind of stamping it on the back of my hand. It reminds me, you know, very much of a Daniel Sandler highlighter. It's not as magical as a Daniel Sandler highlighter in the sense that it spreads out so much, like the Daniel Sandler one spreads out so much that I feel like you get almost that editorial photographable kind of highlight that just looks like your skin is enchanted. This looks like a highlighter, but I don't dislike it. And I feel like as a liquid, you know what I'm talking about? I talk about liquid shimmer goos all the time, and how a lot of times they don't really have a practical purpose. Like when you get them on the skin, they just kind of gum everything up. This doesn't do that because everything is just so similarly textured in the collection that I feel like at least, even if they're not your, I don't know, even if each one isn't necessarily my favorite, they do cooperate with each other pretty well, which is something that I think is often overlooked, especially in new beauty lines, where there will be like a whole bunch of cream products and a whole bunch of powder products. I mean, Westman Atelier, Kosas, like they have a bunch of products that just like don't go together. And it's like, you know, if I were to buy it and it was supposed to be like my little capsule collection, I wouldn't know how to combine them. This is like, it's a big collection, but everything really cooperates together. Okay, before I go and do my eyes, which I will just kind of like, again, speed through, let's talk about this brow situation. So I've seen online people comparing this to Boy Brow, and I have to disagree. So this is the Brow Harmony. I got it in Rich Taupe, which is just kind of their blondie brown shade, you know, hopefully matching my eyebrows. And then it's two-sided. So it's got a pencil on one side that's kind of triangular on the end, almost like teardrop shaped. And then we have a spoolie of the actual mousse. I'll swatch them next to each other. First of all, I'm very not a fan of how big and chunky this pencil is. I always say that there's like hardly any difference from one pencil, like brow pencil, to the next, you know, unless you're just talking about shades. But in this case, it's just that I'm gonna end up with like a hunky chunky brow pretty quickly. Like that's always something that I try to avoid, is marker brow, because I've already got brows. But the mousse itself doesn't really have enough color impact for me. This is so personal. This is so personal. It doesn't really have enough color impact for me to wear alone. Yeah, I think that the other thing that's weird is because this is two-sided, you don't really think about it, but because this is two-sided, you don't have an empty spoolie to smooth it out with. So you need to have one on hand that, you know, from something else, I guess. Okay, let's give this a shot. I think that the way that you're supposed to use this in order to get detail is to try and use the tip, but I don't know if you can see that, but I already did. Flattened out the tip, and so I don't really have a whole lot of precision here, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway. It's also pretty soft. Do you see that? It's pretty crayon-y. Like, I actually can't really speak to the formula just because the shape of the pencil is so unwieldy. So I'm just gonna put on a little tiny bit, kind of try and get it in there evenly. But I think that regardless of the amount of eyebrows that you have, you still want something that's going to draw believable hairs, and this just doesn't really draw believable hairs, you know? So I'm just using, you know, a spoolie from my other eyebrow pencil from Thrive to smooth it out because there wasn't a spoolie. It's a little warm. It's a little bit warm. Again, though, I mean, you know, I'm the one who chose the shade. So again, we make it work, but I'm just not sure that it was like a pleasure, you know? It wasn't fun to do. It wasn't like, oh, that was easy. I can't wait to do that again tomorrow. So before I put on the brow mousse, I'm gonna do my eyeshadow just because brow mousse plus powder product, I don't anticipate being able to keep my eyeshadow out of my eyebrows. You know, I'm just not that clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom through that and I'll be right back. This stage of pregnancy makes your eyes blurry, and yeah, for sure. I'm having trouble recognizing whether or not I'm in focus because I'm not sure whether my eyeballs are in focus. Okay, so I just did the Urban Decay Stone Vibes palette. I used all of the mattes out of it. And then I went in with the Hourglass Scattered Lights in Ray on my eyelids. And then I went in with the Thrive Estrella, which has become my go-to for, you know, my brow highlight and everything. Just my regular Thrive mascara. As promised, let's go ahead and go in with the brow mousse here. And I'm gonna wipe off the excess. And we're just going to groom. I think this is really pretty. I'm glad it comes in as many shades as it does, but it does not have the hold that I prefer, that I get from Boy Brow. Just for the sake of comparison, if you already have that in your collection or something, it just doesn't have that beeswax vibe to it. It's pretty, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's thickening, I guess. And I don't need thickening that much, but some people do. Reminds me more of the Thrive one, honestly. The Thrive brow mousse is really thin and it's got a lot of pigmentation. Well, this has less pigmentation, but yeah, it's same brush shape and everything. And it just reminds me more of that one if you've used that one. Let's talk lips. Let's talk lips because I got 3 different ones. I got 2 of the Dew Lip Balm. Keep that word in mind. I got 2 of them, one in Thankful and one in Compliment. And then I got Matte Lip Cream. Yeah, it's just like a souffle. In the shade Heroic, which is like this pretty berry color. So I'm gonna start with this. Things are about to get very bold very fast. I'm gonna go ahead and blend this just because I don't know how confident I feel moving this matte lip color around after the fact. This is not my strong suit. If you are new to my channel, I apologize in advance. I'm not going to show this product in its greatest glory because this is just not my forte. Here we go, fam. You'll remember I said that I ordered this after everything else because I was like, I need to have an opinion on it, but it was not in my initial order because lip color, it's not that it's not my thing, it's that I feel like really bold lip color like this makes me look like I'm trying to be older. Like I'm trying to look older. Like, oh, believe me, I'm over 21 kind of thing, you know, when I'm like, you know, presenting a fake ID. I'm 33. But yeah, I feel like it's, of all the looks that I could go for, it's not my best. There it is. It's pretty. It's also everywhere. It's a pretty formula, and it's not like a Kylie lip kit because she transfers, and I don't even have that much on because I'm terrified of putting a lot on. So while this is not my thing, this is not my preference, this is also not, even if I were to do it perfectly, it's not a look that I like on myself. It is a beautiful formula if you're looking for something like this, that is kind of a happy medium between a, you know, a nourishing lip cream and a matte lip that's a little more budge proof. Once you blot it, it's pretty darn, you know, pretty darn budge proof, but it's still, I don't trust myself to keep it in one place at all. Okay, well, now that the one part of it that I was really terrified of is over, we can move into the other lip colors here. So I am going to go back in with my lip liner. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit of that because I'm pretty sure I got that everywhere. If this is my first video that you're watching, you might be like, why are you putting on a lip liner? You're just about to put on a lip balm. I always put on a lip liner with lip gloss because I feel like it just spreads out really nicely, and I feel like it just always gives it a more plump look. It's almost like contouring your lips ahead of time. But also, this formula is a lot more pigmented than I thought. Those are the lip balms. It's like, it's a lipstick. It actually reminds me so much of the Beauty Counter lipsticks. So if you're a fan of those and don't want to spend your money on Beauty Counter, then these are actually really, really good, but they should not call them lip balms. I feel like there's almost a disagreement between the actual formula and the amount of pigment that's in it because it's actually hard to control. I feel like I'm trying to just be really honest here, but I feel like I'm being kind of brutal. It's more just that I want to give you guys the full experience of this stuff and, you know, not oversell it and be like, well, everything's perfect, because I feel like it really flexes my skills to make this stuff look good. I'm gonna start with the berry color, again called Compliment. Reminds me a little bit of the Kosas in the sense that their athletic lip balm, you know, their Kosa Sport lip balm, you can't apply it without a mirror. It's definitely like pigmented enough that you can end up looking like a fool if you're not paying attention. I mean, they make a clear one, but still. That's a very pretty color. I would happily wear that. One way that I have worn this, and by the way, this is the component. I'm not sure about this component. It's a little cheapy cheap to me. And everything is soft touch plastic or glass. Nope, that's plastic too. I kind of expected more, I guess. I expected at least this part to be glass, and it's not. Very pretty color. The way that I've been wearing it is to put the Tower 28 lip glosses on top. I prefer a glossier finish, especially because my whole face is matte. And it feels like there's nothing I can do about that. You know, oh, by the way, I can do this now and show you. Nada. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy in that sense. I definitely want to like show you that there are advantages to this formula. It's just unexpected, I guess. And I'm going to show you the shade that I actually prefer, which is called Thankful. It is a beautiful, neutral tan color. And it's not completely opaque, and it is a balmy, bouncy texture, which again is really subjective. That's totally like my taste, speaking more so than the actual performance of the product, but I just feel like to call this a lip balm with this much pigmentation, this is just very much a lightweight cream lipstick. So I'm going to top that with just a little bit of the Tower 28 in, because it's gonna lighten it up. And that is really pretty. I like that very, very much. And now let's go ahead and back you guys back out, and we will dive into all the claims and everything, the prices and stuff like that. We won't go super, super detailed because I don't want this video to be like 2 hours long, but I do want to give you guys kind of an overview. Pricing here, like I said, the foundation is $29 and it comes in 6 times 8 is 40. It comes in 48 shades. Am I counting that right? 48 shades and all but one is still in stock online right now. I am the 4th lightest shade, which is saying something for a collection because usually I'm the palest shade. In the Exa Beauty, I'm the palest shade, and they've got 43 shades, you know? So they're really kind of covering the whole, it's getting rave reviews for its shade range. That's all I'll say. The concealer comes in 48 shades again. Oh my God. That is crazy. And the shade that I got, which was 110N, is the 2nd lightest, and I could have gone for a little bit deeper, I think. And she's $19. So the Lip Souffle Matte Cream Lipstick is $20. Since I ordered this separately, and Sephora does this thing now where if you spend 500 points, you can get $10 off. This guy was like 10 bucks for me, which was pretty cool. Comes in a ton of different shades if you like opaque lip color, which I don't. There's also a Blot and Glow touch-up kit. I don't with blotting sheets. I don't with one-use items if I can possibly help it. With Gratitude Dewy Lip Balm that I got 2 of were $16 a piece, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades, I want to say. Okay, so talking about the Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, I was really torn when I was ordering this, and I was like, I'm gonna order a matte one and a dewy one. So the dewy one is actually Joy, this shade right here, and then the matte one is the Grace shade, and I honestly, I forgot about that difference because I can't really tell them apart. I feel like they behave really, really similarly, and I feel like she more went for that long wear capability than true dewiness, because, you know, when I think dewy, I think Danessa Myricks. This doesn't strike me as dewy. The highlighter looks highlighted, but this is not giving me like dewy anything, you know? And also, I think that if something were truly dewy from the standpoint of a pigment product that goes on top of your complexion products, it would be super disturbing not look disturbing, but it would really disturb your base if it were super emollient. And so I think that that was probably more what was in mind of just making them cooperate better, but I would definitely not call this formula dewy. The Luminizer Highlight is $22. It also comes in 8 shades that are all incredibly beautiful. Again, I got it in the shade Mesmerize, which is a rose bronze, Selena's go-to shade, in case you were curious. And it's supposed to be a silky second skin liquid highlighter that creates a lasting, soft, and luminous finish. Of all of the products in this entire line, I think that this is my favorite. It's really pretty, it's really functional, it's really easy to use. We'll get to like my final thoughts in a second, but just like, you know, off the cuff, I do actually really, really like the highlighter. I think it's pretty and I think I'll use it again. And then we have the liquid eyeliner again, $19. I didn't order that. They have an illuminating primer. Probably would make this look a little bit dewier, but I used an illuminating primer on it the first day and I still didn't really, like, it just wasn't by Rare Beauty. And I didn't experience a lot of difference just because this is pretty full coverage. You know, it's gonna kind of cover up anything, unless you were to mix it with something, I guess, which would change the formula. The Brow Harmony Pencil and Gel is $22, comes in 8 shades. Comes in like a red, like a warm auburn, which is awesome, which is hard to find, and also an ash gray, which is hard to find. Very, very cool. While that's not my fave, it is cool that it comes in so many shades. She put out a bunch of brushes. She also put in a Prime and Set Mist, which is interesting because, like I said, there's no powder in this collection, and so I always think of like a setting mist as something that's going to kind of like join everything together from a powder and cream standpoint. Maybe it still works that way just because everything is so powder finish on this, but it's powder finish because of dimethicone, not because of something like cornstarch. And finally, before we jump into my final thoughts on this and show you guys kind of the end of the day shots and everything like that, I wanted to just touch on her mission statement. So it says, Rare Beauty is breaking down unrealistic standards of perfection. This is makeup made to feel good in, without hiding what makes you unique. Because Rare Beauty is not about being someone else, but being who you are. We are on a mission to help everyone celebrate their individuality by redefining what beautiful means. We want to promote self-acceptance and give people the tools they need to feel less alone in the world. That's a big ask of makeup. Our vision is to create a safe, welcoming space in beauty and beyond that supports mental well-being across age, gender identity, sexual orientation, race, cultural background, physical or mental ability, and perspective. We believe in the beauty of imperfections. We nurture a caring, respectful community. We create meaningful connections and relationships. We champion authenticity and positivity. We lead with transparency to build trust. We believe there is power in being vulnerable. So I feel like Selena Gomez, in starting this company, this was not something where she wanted like a licensing deal. You know, she wasn't like, I'm gonna slap my name on this makeup line, call it a day. It is very much more so like, this is the next step in my career. And I want to create like not just a line of makeup that makes people feel welcome, but it sounds like she wants to create a company atmosphere that makes people feel welcome, which we need more of in general. So that makes me happy. It sounds like she's, you know, put a lot of thought into it, and that she's also probably had a lot of experience in the industry from different sides that made her more aware of what needed to happen if she was going to launch a brand like this. So let's move into my final thoughts about each of the products and also about the brand offering in general. So beginning with the foundation here, this is vegan, it's cruelty-free, it comes in a crap ton of shades, and I feel like for the medium coverage claim, and what finish do they say that it is? Natural. I went back to differ just a little bit. I think it's a little bit more satin matte. I will throw in my end of the day clips here. I think that at least on my skin type, and I have very dry skin, it wasn't bad, but it didn't do me any favors either. It was more like it focused on wear time, which some people find really important, versus wear in. I'm happier to have something that looks more like skin and wears in over the day than something that's kind of like frozen on my face. And even though this is lightweight and it doesn't have powder and stuff like that, it is so silicone based that it goes to a powder finish anyway. And I feel like if you don't have like Botox, which I don't right now, it's going to kind of accentuate and dry up in some of the lines on your face, which might make it a little bit less accommodating to mature or maturing skin. That's just my guess. Obviously, I'm the only one who has tried it like in my life. I think also just the fact that it doesn't really offer any luminosity. It doesn't have any mica to it. It doesn't have any sort of textural brightening the way that like the Exa does, or the way that the Beauty Bakery does. I feel like it's not doing you favors. It's not going above and beyond to give you a better complexion. It's giving you coverage, and it's pretty, and it's even, and it goes on really evenly. Silicones wear really evenly on the skin typically, and you know, it's probably a lot of people's look. It's just a little flat for me. The concealer, while I enjoy this, and I think that I would wear it on its own, it's kind of like, again, a disagreement in formula and pigmentation, because I feel like it wants to behave like a creamy concealer, but when you spread it out, it just kind of, it loses its presence pretty quickly. So you'd want to use it with a color corrector underneath it or something like that in order for it to meet with the foundation from a coverage standpoint, I guess. I feel like when I put it on after the foundation, I lost it. And when I put it on before the foundation, that was kind of the only way that I could get, I don't know, a consciousness as I was putting it on of where it was, because then I ended up only putting on a little bit of foundation here and there. The big thing that I would emphasize about all of these products, but specifically the complexion products, is just a little goes a long way. You can get away with wearing almost none of these products and you still end up with a pretty made up look. The blushes. I feel like I could do an entire channel that only reviews blushes. But I always would think that that would be boring because I love every blush that I use. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't love these. They're kind of hard to work with. I was able to get something nice from it, but was it easy, a pleasure, fun, unstressful? Not really. Like, again, this is coming from the lens of someone who really thinks that too much blush is often not enough. It got so little dimension that it really just looks like you kind of came in with an airbrush And to me, that's really, like, that's a hard thing to contend with. It's almost like instead of enhancing my face, I feel like I need to solve for it afterwards. And so I wouldn't really recommend these. The highlighter, like I said, not only do you get half an ounce of this, it's just an absolute crap ton of product. Totally beautiful formula. Do I think it's undupable? No. But I don't think you'll be unhappy with it. It's really easy to work with, and that ranks high for me because, like I said, there are so many random shimmer goos on the market that a lot of them are really disruptive, and they are like, they just kind of disturb everything that's underneath them, and this was really agreeable. And I think that it's gonna work with a lot of different makeup looks. The eyebrow. There are flaws here. There are flaws in the sense that I don't like the crayon size of the pencil tip. Although the color is really nice and I was able to make it work. I feel like that's the overarching concept here, is like, is it my favorite thing in the world? No, but I was able to make it work. And I could see it appealing to someone. But the teardrop shape of the end of the pencil made it difficult to work with, and you do need to have an extra spoolie around in order to smooth it out, because you can't just leave those crayon marks there. And the mousse itself it's nice. It doesn't have much hold to it, but I also genuinely appreciate how many shades it comes in. I don't know why so many brands are so exclusionary about the shades that they put their eyebrow products out in. Like, everybody has like medium taupe eyebrows. It's absolutely not the case. And I think that the color of your eyebrows makes a huge difference in your look. So, you know, if it's something that you feel like you can work with these formulas, this could be a fantastic option for people who have a really hard time finding their shade in a brow product. All right, and finally, our lip products. The first ingredient in this lip souffle is dimethicone. So understand that that is going to be the texture of this. It's going to be just kind of like a lightweight, silicone-y, does not necessarily freeze down or suck your lips dry kind of cream lip. And it's going to be that matte, flexible, lightweight feeling. I still find something like this just to not be my look. But as these formulas go, as these kinds of products go, it's beautiful. It really is. Like, I think it's beautiful. And I think that the shades are also really, really pretty. I just find that, again, flat. Flat's not my thing. And I'm actually genuinely surprised by most of the collection in its flatness. This did not surprise me in its flatness. And as far as the dewy lip balms go, I think they're a misnomer. They're not lip balms. They are lightweight cream lipsticks. And when you take them from that standpoint, they're gorgeous. I happen to really love, setting Beauty Counters, all of their situation aside, I happen to love the Beauty Counter lipstick formula. And I think that these mirror the lipstick formula from Beauty Counter a lot. And they come in a lot of shades. They're very, very pretty. I will end up wearing both of these again, both the berry and the, you know, browny taupey color that I'm wearing right now. This one does happen to be my favorite just because it's safe. It like practically matches my Kackie lip liner, but I do still feel an urge to put a lip gloss on top. The pigmentation is just so strong in all of this stuff that they all kind of pull a little bit more light absorption than light reflection. So final thoughts on the brand. This is for someone, absolutely, and I understand now why some people love this so much. For my skin type and for my preferences, it is not top. So if you're looking at this through my lens of like, I want my makeup to look like Kackie likes her makeup, this would not be the collection that I would recommend. But if you're looking for something that is both long wearing and like pretty darn transfer resistant, especially for mask wearers, but wears so lightly on the skin compared to a lot of other disturbance-proof, sure, formulas of complexion products, this is superior. And it's priced pretty well, I think, for what it is. I do still think that there are going to be people, and hopefully, based on my review, the things that I find unappealing, you might hear and say, nope, that's appealing to me. And those are some of actually my favorite comments, if I could just sidebar for a second. Some of my favorite comments are people saying, I watched you put this on, you said it was too cool toned or too matte or too whatever for you, therefore I knew it would work perfectly on me. That is the kind of thing that I want, that I hope that I offer in my reviews, is for you guys to take away not just my opinion, but compared to the way that makeup wears on my face, how it's going to wear on your face, and hopefully help you make a decision, because you might look at all the things that I find to be unappealing and go, that is exactly what I'm looking for. Plus, keep in mind, I know I've said it a million times, but you know, in case you need it like reiterated, if you're sensitive to silicones, don't do it. Don't do this. Everything's got silicones in it, like tons of them. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I hope you guys found this valuable, even though it was, I mean, it's very, very, again, nuanced. But if you did find it helpful, give it a thumbs up, guys. I would really appreciate it. I really am so, like, always really glad to deliver a video that you guys have wanted to see so much. So I hope that this met your expectations in terms of detail. If this is my first video that you are watching and you enjoyed it, then, you know, subscribe while you're here. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today, guys. I love you so much. I really, really do. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.